Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Todd Menard, and today we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan real estate housing statistics for the week ending January 27th. Let's get right into those numbers. Taking a look across the board, we have 72 days closed on market, a month supply of 4.62. Our absorption rate is sitting at 21.64. Average list price this past week was $808,913. Average sale price this past week was $570,183, and a list price to sale price retention of 97.35. Inventory did well, up 3.9% to 16,425. Pending is at 3,396 and closed for the month to date at 2,408. Looking at new listings taken, we took 1,956 new listings this past week. That was up 17.7%. The active days on market right now at 103, and the closed at 72. Look at the bottom right-hand side where we list our price ranges and the percentages of inventory that represents. Under 500,000 is still at the 52.3 range. That's been as high as 72, which it had been for decades. But now with the increasing prices, we're down to 52.3%. A couple of weeks ago, we were at 52.5. That was a good sign as it was creeping up, but it has just ebbed down a little bit. This is workforce housing. This is first-time home buyer housing. And so as a result, this is always the most important part of our inventory, most important of our communities, the fabrics of our communities, is having properties available for people who are working on a day-to-day basis to not have to drive too far to and from their jobs. So this market has taken quite a bit of a hit. It's about 20% less than the entire inventory as of today, about a couple of thousand units. But if we take a look at the $500,000 and $1 million market, this picked up a lot of that inventory, of course, because it came from the 400 to 499 and trickled then over into the 500s. But we had the same issue at the upper end of this marketplace, at the $900,000 range, trickled over into the million and million up. Million up used to be about 10% of the MLS. The 500 to $1 million category has always been about 28 to 30%. And then you take those differences, which don't, totally total to bring it up to 72%, but that's where it had been. So as the market ebbed and flowed. So we take a look at the spreadsheet, which gives everybody the opportunity to compare the numbers that I'm giving you. And that's really where the story lays. It isn't this is my interpretation of those numbers, having been doing this since 1992. But this is one of those situations where I want you to be able to understand where the differences of these numbers and how whether it's a good sign, it's helping the industry, or whether it's not so good. Remember, these numbers are Arizona State, the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Arizona real estate market. What you hear on the news, no matter what station you listen to, you're really hearing the national news perspective. So, maybe the 30,000-foot view, this is maybe the 5,000-foot view. And there's nothing more important than a realtor, and a realtor being able to provide a homeowner or home seller with exactly what's going on, what I call Main Street, or really on the tarmac at ground level in a hyper local scenario, just your community. Because as we all know, that's what determines what you're going to be able to sell or what it's going to take to be able to purchase a property in those communities. So good information. Let's get right into that. In the middle column, you'll notice we have 2 years ago, the same week. To the left of that, in the salmon color, you have last year, same week. And then, of course, we have week over week here. And just for the purpose of explaining the whole spreadsheet, over here on the right, we have last month in comparison to a year prior, and then the month before that and a year prior, and then we compare even month over month and that. So this sheet really includes a significant amount of information just in this one sheet alone. So 1,986 were the number of listings we took this past week, 1,687 the week before. A year ago, we were at 1896, 2 years ago at 1959. So we're kind of right in that range. I would say we're a little above. So that's a really good sign entering into the new year. Active inventory has also increased and benefited by that. Specifically, the difference between January 8th to today has gone up almost 4%. We're at 16,425. And if you're comparing it, last year we were just 300 units, 350 units higher. But the year before that, we were at almost a third of this current inventory that we have today. So do we have limited inventory? Could we say that, we're short inventory short? My answer is no, because the month supply is appropriate based on the number of buyers that are in the marketplace. If we were taking rule of thumb, look at the sheet on the left, if we were taking the rule of thumb of 2,400 listings a month and we had 5,500 people in escrow at any one time, then I would say these are the numbers. But here's what's happening. If that was the case, you'd be at a 2.5 to 3 month supply. And that's pretty much where we've been over the last, few weeks, few months that we've been, as the market has shifted a little bit. So again, this is just one of those things that says this is good information, inventory being up. It's not, we are not depressed as inventory, so that's why we don't have multiple offers. No, I'm not saying you're not going to have a specific, neighborhood or community or property that is other than the numbers. But again, remember, this is the general geographic metropolitan Phoenix market info. So of that 16,425 active inventory, 669 of those are in the category called coming soon. Obviously, the benefit of that category is it does not turn the days on market on until 30 days after the property was put into coming soon. So again, this is one of those things that, that is a free look period, if you would, and that's kind of why people put them on a coming soon. Looking at single family detached, that's 12,648 of those homes. 2,620 are from new home construction. Again, that could be move-in ready homes that the builders have. It could be something that fell out of escrow. It could be an inventory production home that just isn't, fully ready yet, but maybe the sticks are up. But this in this particular situation, or it could be a brand new community. But builders hire realtors to put the properties in the MLS for the purpose of exposure, of course. Same reason why the average consumer does. So that's 2,620. That's up just a little bit. 16,353 is the total non-distressed property, which basically is saying that we're at a 99.6 of our total inventory available is non-distressed. If you total these numbers, these take the actual short sale lender owned and HUD homes right now in comparison against total inventory. This is just under 0.4% of 1%, 0.4 of 1%. So half of 1%, and that's normally where it is, usually half. So being at even a little less, even though these numbers look staggering, I'm telling you that, the marketplace, we're still at about a 6 or 7% default rate, and that's exactly where we need to be. Taking a look down a little further at pending. So as we look at new listings and use the terminology that new listings, the more people putting their houses on the market, the more confident sellers are that they're going to get their price, be able to sell within a reasonable time frame, or take advantage of wherever the market is. I would imagine in those cases, the market going up, prices going up. But when you see strong new listing activity, that means that people are engaging and confidence is good. When you see pending, this is when after a seller and a buyer have come together with a mutual value price, and at that particular agreement, and at that particular point, they're now in escrow. That is, that's the best kind of buyer you can have, is one that's engaged. So there are other buyers in the marketplace. However, these are the ones that are engaging. But if 3,396 are engaging today, and this is incorrect. It was 49.59. Trailing zero needs to be eliminated. So say there's 5,000 back a year ago, 2 years ago. You can also see that reflected 3,400 last year. 5,000, almost 4,700 the year before in 2022, reflective of these numbers. So you can see that, and this ebbs and flows also. But 5,500 is the magic number. 2,400 new listings, 5,500 pending. And if we're short of 5,500, that means we have, so in this case, 33, we have about 60%, 40% less people in the marketplace than a strong economy would have if we were taking 2,400 new listings every single week. If we're not taking 2,400 new listings every week and we're at 5,500, then obviously our inventory gets consumed overnight. And as a result, that's what happened in the previous market cycle. So you can sometimes see things happen if their interest rates were to go to, below 6 into the mid 5s, low 5s, there would be a run on property, I would imagine, and we'd be back to a similar scenario of there being multiple offers on properties and things of that nature. So is that good? Is that bad? Depends on the side of the coin you work for. But again, those are the situations that affect. So 3,396 is 25% more, 35%, more than it was last week. So these are good signs. Closed on market, although we are at the 22nd, it appears that, it's a typical January. We're sitting at about 2,600, 2,400 right now. We're at 2,600 last year specifically. And taking a look at some other previous year numbers, we are lagging a little bit in these previous years. But again, let's let the end of the month come out. We have been, if you notice, averaging about a 4 to 6% less production than the year prior to that. But that's actually catching up because those were as high as 16, 18, 22% just a year ago. So when we're looking at these numbers right now, the intent or the anticipation is that obviously, we're going to be solvable somewhere in that same range, and that would be a good sign. It would say yes if we can reduce that percentage loss even further to like a 0.2. Or 2% loss, then of course, again, we'll be showing recovery in the marketplace. Prices have pretty much already reset and recovered, and we're probably on that next cycle of moving forward. There'll always be distressed properties, and there'll always be certain markets that are different than other markets. So 4.62 is where we were at the end of the month, the end of this past week. 3.2 the week before, 3%. You see to the left, 2.5 to 3 months supply is exactly what we're looking for. So a 4.62 month supply is really a buyer's market. If you were a buyer, now's the time to go out. More inventory, similar amount of buyers, more to choose from, better transaction. And I would imagine, that list price to sale price retention is going to be affected by that at that time. So taking a look now down in the median list price, you'll see it was 435. 749 right here, 439.9 is where we were a week ago. We've been averaging 430-ish. So again, a year ago, we were at 411. The market hasn't really taken off that dramatically, still under 10%. On an annual basis, which means we are back down to where we needed to be. Could prices go lower? I can't make that call. Listen to whomever your favorite economist is. Average markets, we talked about the market time being just obviously slower. It was 55 days a year ago. Now it's 72 days. It takes an extra month to sell a home than it did before. 97.35 is where we're at. We want to be 97.8. So we're giving away a little too much over this past week. Hence, a lot of inventory, not many buyers. But let's take a look and go to the next slide. I want to take you off and show you another slide that I put together for you. And if you're interested in this slide, you're more than welcome to email me. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. But this slide right here shows you the total production in the Arizona Regional Multiple Listings system for the January 1st. 2022 in comparing the full year of 2022 to the full year of this past year. So I'm going to save you. There's much data. So if we just come down here to single family detached data, this is by city. It shows you the total activity, how many properties were sold in each of these marketplaces. The percentage is this year versus last year. Did the market increase or decrease this year? And so you can take a look at that. Number of days on market is important to see how fast your homes are selling in each of those particular cities. The number of sold homes over here, based on in those communities as well. The sold volume. This is if the sold 5 houses. 5 houses totaled $2.87 million, which had an average, list price of $575. And again, in comparison to this year's price and what the difference percentage change is, and like for instance, in certain areas, it has gone up. So I've taken a look at this. I've put some yellow and markers on here. Yellow means they were less than a 10% decline. Anthem, Apache Junction. If you'd like these for your information, I'm going to provide you with that slide in just a second. Just email me directly and say, Todd, I'd like to have a copy of the slide that you offered in your market stats this week. But this goes through every single city that has ever had even one property listed in the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing System. So there may have been no action last year, one transaction this year, or vice versa. I could say 0 because nothing happened, but it did the year before. Reds are that they obviously went up, and those are some of the more well-known marketplaces. Green is the best, which means there was either under 5 or even maybe under 10%, or an increase in business this past year versus the previous year. So you can take a look at this and see exactly what what the best markets are. But I will tell you, in green, other than Paradise Valley, which typically the more affluent, higher end homes are not affected as much to market cycles because of just financial solvability purposes. But if you can get out into Waddell or Whitman, and both of these being off of Grand, heading up towards Wickenburg, these markets are, and Wickenburg itself, actually, right here in red, took a little bit of a hit, but these are strong, recovering, booming markets. And so this is what this type of sheet shares with you. What city, what area, maybe do I want to put my time and energy into if you were a practitioner, realtor practitioner, or are a realtor practitioner. So we take a look, and the only benefit really this year has been in the single family residential was the increased, or I should say the difference between last year at 612,000 meaning 2022 and 2023 at 607,000. So the actual price declined. And I put it in green, not because that was a good thing, but it was a good thing as it relates to hyperinflation. It's saying that the market has recovered, it's slowing down, the prices average dropped, and these are some things to take into consideration when you're purchasing or selling a home, or vice versa. So in the end, this is the way that you can get a hold of me, or you want that particular slide, just not call, but please email me only at this email address and say, hey, Todd, I'd like to have a copy of the real estate market statistics year end by city. And I'd be happy to send that to you. And let me just leave you with the way to get a hold of us. Obviously, you can always go and reach on my Facebook account for the month end stats or year end stats. If you're looking for the weekly over weekly stats, you can go to youtube.com/West USA Realty. We have our whole playlist there. I go back all the way to 2013 with West USA Realty. I've got spreadsheets just like we just are talking about right now. So if this helps, that's what it's all about. I thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time we get together. Have a good day.